Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Destiny video, and another Bungie weekly update. It's a bit later than usual, but the Bungie update has just dropped, and as always, I'm here to give you the lowdown. Also, apologies that there wasn't a Bungie update video last week. I was over in LA for Call of Duty Championships, and by the time I'd landed, got to the hotel and all that jazz, making the video just wasn't possible. But if you did miss last week's update, then they spoke about the increases to vault space. And if you want to know more about that in detail, then I'll leave a link to last week's post in the description box down below, as well as a link to this week's post as well. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk. First up, once again, there's no House of Wolves info to share this time round. However, the start of the post does hint at something coming pretty soon. Deej began the post by stating, and I quote, "This month, there will come a day when we'll reveal a release date for the trials that await you, with a whole reef of details soon to follow. But it is not this day." I like how he snuck the word reef in there. I see what you did there, Deej. Anyway, this week the topic is once again the upcoming 1.1.2 update. If you remember when they first spoke about it, they spoke of their update wish list, and for the past 3 weeks we've been getting a look at the various topics they're going to be addressing. So I'd imagine that means once they reach the end of the list, then we'll get to hear more about the House of Wolves. So my bet is about 2 weeks. This week, they are talking about fixes coming to the raids and to strikes, which means the only thing left to talk about after that is ammo placement and usage in PvP, so I guess that's next week. But let's talk raid fixes. To be honest, the post didn't really go into great specifics. The post effectively states that raid bugs are one of the hardest ones to fix, and that raids are some of the most edge casey content in the game, meaning that when something goes wrong, it is so much harder to pinpoint the cause. That being said, the focus on the fixes will primarily be on the bosses, both Atheon and Crota. We all know there are times when Atheon teleports the wrong number of people, or Crota drops off the bridge, or the sword despawns, so hopefully these will all be addressed. The post didn't call out specific bugs that are going to be fixed, instead we'll hear that in the upcoming patch notes that'll likely drop in a week or two, but for now we simply know that the focus is on the bosses. Besides that, the other concern were some of the strikes. The numbers state that there are some missions that are successfully completed far less often than others, so Bungie want to find out why. Believe it or not, despite the fact that the Omnigul strike is probably most people's most hated strike, statistically, the Cerberus Vase strike on Mars, where you face off against Valis, is actually the longest and supposedly hardest strike in the game. I'd imagine that's probably because that one's been there since day one, whereas the Omnigul strike is relatively new. Either way, the average completion time is 27 minutes. Now if you've played it a lot and you're anything like me, then you'll probably agree that it's not so much hard as it is long. I agree with Bungie that it takes a while to finish, mainly because Valis is a massive bullet sponge. But it's not too challenging, especially if you sit behind a box. Anyway, to address this, Valis' overall health will be reduced by 1/3, and the Scion's shields are also reduced by 15%, in turn making the whole encounter a bit more manageable, and a bit shorter, which in turn will bring the strike completion time in line with the other strikes. And lastly, the topic of quitters. You've all no doubt experienced someone sitting in your strike or in your Crucible match AFK, either because they've fallen asleep, or more often than not because they want free marks, rewards or XP without having to put in the work. Well, now Bungie are watching. Players that continually AFK during activities such as these will have restrictions placed on their account. The post didn't outline exactly what these restrictions would do, but it did state that the restrictions would apply only to the activities that they were chronically idle in. So I'd imagine it'd be something along the lines of a temporary Crucible ban if you continually AFK in matches, or a temporary strike playlist ban if you continually AFK in strikes. Once the restriction is lifted, if the player continues to exhibit this behaviour, more serious actions will be taken. However, to help Bungie locate these individuals, a player report system will be implemented. This will allow you to both praise and report players. This won't be the sole deciding factor, so don't try and abuse this just to report someone that beat you in the Crucible, but it will help Bungie pinpoint people to look at. This will simply be another option you can access from someone's player card. And that, my friends, is it for this week's update. As always, if you do want to read it for yourself, then I'll leave a link to it in the description box down below. But otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then it'd be awesome if you could leave a like and hit that thumbs up button, and if you aren't already part of the Arekkz Gaming Nation, then hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. Thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.